चैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं अग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादा ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितंश्च नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण. So welcome all of you all for our Gita overview series. So last week I think Gopal Swaranpur did a class on Shyam Siddhapur did a class. What is the topic? Harinam on the holy name. Before that was Nityanand Triyadashi. So before that we did the Bhagavad Gita chapter 1 overview. So today we'll be doing the overview for chapter 2. So if you'll remember what we discussed in chapter 1, just like a quick go through. So basically chapter 1 is called setting the scene. Arjuna observing the armies of the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So we saw chapter 1 is basically the first part of chapter 1, we saw the analysis of the mindset of Duryodhana Dhritarashtra, right? And then we saw chapter 1 continues signs for the Pandavas' victory. Do you all remember this? We discussed various signs of Pandavas' victory even before the war. Anyone remembers any one sign, any one symptom that Pandavas are going to become victorious? Krishna was there. What else? Hanuman was there. Good. I'm just checking whether you are attentive. Good. So then we saw towards the end of the chapter 4 reasons Arjuna gives why he doesn't want to fight. Anyone remembers? You all can raise your hands. What are the 4 reasons? Any one reason you all remember? अर्जुन जो है 4 कारण देते हैं वो युद्ध क्यों नहीं करना चाहते. एक कारण, एक हाथ ऊपर करना तो डिसिप्लिन. यस माधवी. कंपैशन. करेक्ट. कंपैशन. पहला था अर्जुन, he was feeling very compassionate. As a devotee, he didn't want to hurt anyone. Devotees don't like to even hurt ants. What to speak of killing someone else? So Arjuna didn't want to fight. Thank you. Yes, Aarti Mataji.
There will be a lot of bloodshed and many families will lose their fathers.
Correct. The second was destruction of family traditions. The elders will be destroyed, the men will be destroyed, there will not be anyone to protect women, Shraddha, the Pindadan, all these sanskars will not happen. The second reason, destruction of family tradition. Third, anyone else? Fear of sin. Yes, he was fearful that I will commit sin, I will have to suffer in hell. And the fourth one? Enjoyment. So what does enjoyment mean? Kajal Mataji? What is it? हाँ गुड. मतलब ध्यान से सुन रही है कि अगर सब लोग चले जाएंगे तो किसके साथ एंजॉय करेंगे, है कि नहीं. नया कुछ खरीदा है कपड़ा, पहला लोगों के सामने दिखाना पड़ता है ना. 2-3 लोग जब पूछते हैं नया कपड़ा दिख रहा है तो पैसा वसूल होता है कि नहीं. जो हम पहनते हैं हमारे लिए कम, दूसरों के लिए ज्यादा होता है. सो अर्जुन वाज फीलिंग दैट इफ everyone is dead and gone, whom will I actually enjoy with? ठीक है, this was chapter 1. So now we'll quickly get into chapter 2. Chapter 2, yes. प्लीज कम, यू ऑल कैन, आप यहाँ पे भी बैठ सकते हैं. स्टैंड संभालना. मधु जी आप लोग उस तरफ आइए, अब वहां से आइए. You all come this way. You all come this way. Okay, so chapter 2 is Sankhya Yoga. Okay, chapter 2 in English is called Contents of the Gita Summarized. So in one sense, in chapter 2, actually Lord Krishna speaks the entire Gita. Because the start of chapter 3, Arjuna had a question. You all can just come ahead. आप लोग थोड़ा आगे आना, ऑटोमेटिकली जगह हो जाएगा. Come 1 seat ahead. आगे आना. Palvi Mati, can you come a little ahead? There are more devotees coming at the back. ये अच्छा साइन है, सारे devotees आ रहे हैं. ठीक है? Okay. So chapter 2 is called Contents of the Gita Summarized. So in one sense, Lord Krishna, whatever he had to speak, he spoke in second chapter only, what we are going to see now. Because at the start of the third chapter, Arjuna has a question, so Krishna is further elaborating the subject matters. Okay? So chapter 2 has 72 verses. Just check how many verses are there. Chapter 2, 72 verses. So this chapter 2 is the second biggest chapter in Gita. The biggest is the 18th chapter, which has 76 verses. So it's a long, 78 verses? Good. I'm sorry for that. So 78 verses in the 18th chapter. So this is the second biggest chapter. It's a long chapter, a lot of important sections. So let's see how we cover it. So this chapter, you'll remember we saw an acronym for chapter 1. Anyone remembers? Doubt. D-O-U-B-T. So doubt, D stood for Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana's mindset. O stood for omnious result, U stood for uncertainty, B for bewilderment, and T for turning point. So similarly, chapter 2 has an acronym called Gita, G-I-T-A. Okay? Because this is Gita summarized, so the acronym is Gita. So the way the verses are divided is, verse number 1 to 10 speak about the topic of Guru, importance of Guru. 11 to 30 speaks about Atma, the identity of ourselves, the identity of the soul. Third section, 31 to 53, speaks about two kinds of duty, two kinds of dharma that we have. We will discuss that. At the last section, 54 to 72, speaks about a topic called Atma Ram. You have heard of Atma Ram? What does Atma Ram mean? Self-satisfied. Atma is self. Atma Ram is satisfied. Yeah, one who finds pleasure in the self. Yeah, liberated soul. It speaks about the qualities of a liberated soul. So this in essence, nutshell is the second chapter. So the first section, verse number 1 to 10, is a very important section of the second chapter. This is where Arjuna actually surrenders to Krishna. If you have observed the first chapter, Krishna hardly speaks. Krishna doesn't start to speak. Krishna is just listening. So Lord Krishna is also teaching us, before we speak, we have to listen. The problem with all of us is, we are very quick in speaking, but we are very bad in listening. Right? We are very impatient to speak, but we don't want to listen. So communication, Lord Krishna is teaching us communication skills, how to communicate, how to counsel. The first principle is you have to listen. Like someone comes and tells you the problem that they have. Before they start, they finish the problem only you have a solution. You will, I already know it. But the best way is hear people out. The Lord has given us 2 ears, 1 tongue. But we use the tongue more, the ears less. That's why we land in problem. Right? So we have to hear, we have to listen. If you can be a good listener, we can also be a good counselor, we can actually help people out. Many times people don't want a solution. People don't want a solution. They just want to come and pour their heart out. They just want someone to hear them out. क्योंकि लोग इतने बिजी होते हैं, कोई उनका प्रॉब्लम सुनता नहीं है. आप बैठ के सुनो, बस they are happy with that. They don't want a solution also. So first, Lord Krishna is teaching us the principle of listening. So we saw in the first chapter 4 reasons Arjuna gives why he doesn't want to fight. In this section, Arjuna gives the 5th reason. And the 5th reason of Arjuna is called indecision. Indecision means Arjuna is confused. He doesn't know whether to fight, whether not to fight. In English now there is a saying, over-analysis causes paralysis. If you think too much, that is also a problem. If you keep thinking too much now, it leads to a confusion. So Arjuna is analyzing his situation in all ways, and then Arjuna comes to the conclusion that I really don't know what to do. So this is text number 6, if you see the Gita. Nachait vidma kataran nagariyo yadva jayema yadiva na jayeyu yan eva hatva najivi samas te vashishta pramukhe datarashtra. So Arjuna says, I don't know whether we should kill the sons of Dhritarashtra or be killed by them. In either ways, Arjuna is feeling life is a checkmate. You understand what is checkmate? Many times, life brings us to such a place where we feel that if I do this also problem, if I do this also problem. Devil ya deep sea. So Arjuna was analyzing, if he wins the war, then again he will not have any relatives to enjoy with. That is also a problem. If he loses, Arjuna doesn't know whether he is going to continue life like this. So he is caught in both ways. And that is the point where Arjuna surrenders to Krishna. In this section 1 to 10, the most important verse is text 7. Very, very important verse. See, Arjuna, in just chapter 1 had how many verses? 46 verses. Chapter 1, 46 verses, and 6 verses of chapter 2, Arjuna comes to a point of surrender. Till now, Lord Krishna has not started to speak Gita. Gita wisdom actually starts when we surrender to Krishna. When we use our intelligence, when we feel that I can solve everything on my own, when we have this kind of abhiman, this kind of self-pride, then we don't surrender to someone who is superior to us. See, Arjuna, for him to surrender to Krishna is not something easy. In this world, people who are literally insignificant, they have so much ego. Arjuna is a very powerful warrior. Arjuna has defeated Indra, Shiva, very, very powerful warrior. All his records has been super successful. Still, Arjuna is glorified. We respect Arjuna because of this kind of surrender. So when we are ready to accept that I am not able to solve my problem, then you approach someone superior. So this verse is a very important verse, text 7. Karpanya dosha pahata swabhava prichami tvam dharma samudha cheta yashreyasya nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. Arjuna is telling, my dear Lord, I am confused about my duty. I don't know what to do. So Arjuna is admitting honestly that he is confused. And it's coming in the pages of Gita. So Arjuna, see, many times now we have a wrong definition of one who is successful or one who is a hero. Today only Gopal was giving this talk in D.D. Kosambe Festival of Ideas. So Gopal was telling this point that we can't always remain positive in life. We have to admit and we have to accept a point that we are vulnerable. We can make mistakes And we also can be confused. It's okay to admit that you are going through a problem. In today's world, everyone wants to show their best face. They are not ready to admit what they are going through. So Arjuna is great not only because he's defeated so many people. Arjuna is great because he's defeated so many people and still his feet is grounded. He's still very, very humble and honest about his life. So this kind of honesty, this kind of admittance, acceptance is the key to actually embrace spirituality. So Arjuna is very clearly telling Krishna that, my dear Lord, I am actually confused. I am very, very weak. Arjuna is admitting here, I am weak. I am not able to control my own emotions. So my dear Lord, please tell me for certain what is good for me. I am now your disciple, you are my guru. Now you speak. After this, Krishna speaks. Till Arjuna surrenders and till Arjuna is asking Krishna, my dear Lord, you speak, till then the Lord doesn't speak. So from counseling point of view, this is the principle. When someone is asking you advice, give. Free advice has no value. When someone is asking you something, then you give, there is a value to it. So Lord Krishna is very, very, very peaceful. Lord Krishna is not speaking at this point. So Prabhupada in this particular purport and in the next purport, text 8, you all can go back. Okay, how many of y'all, we had like 2 weeks gap, we are speaking about honesty. How many of y'all honestly read the first chapter? How many of y'all removed time to read the purports of the first chapter? Please raise your hands. Madhaji, please raise your hand. Only one. Sonali Madhaji. I want all of you to read. Please try it, at least attempt it. You may not be able to complete it, but at least start it. At least everyone can start it. So these courses, these classes will make a lot of sense to you all if you all can go back and actually go through it. In 1 hour, 10 minutes to complete an entire chapter is in one sense an injustice. Right? It's actually an injustice to the Gita. They're just giving you an idea, a trailer, so that you all can actually go and go through the chapter. So my humble request to all of you all, when you all go back home this coming week, please spend some time. Even if you read like 2 pages, 2-3 pages of this chapter, you'll be able to complete this chapter. Right? So at least go through it. It will make a lot of sense. You'll have all your nerves, understanding will get very much clear and clarified. So Prabhupada mentions in these 2 purports how accepting a guru is very, very important. Very, very important. So Lord Arjuna is accepting Krishna as his guru. So he's saying clearly, Shishyasteham Shadi Mam Tvam Prapannam. I am your disciple, you are my guru, please teach me. So Prabhupada explains in this purport how this is something that's very crucial in the path of spirituality, accepting someone who has already realized this subject matters. So we find here Arjuna accepting Lord Krishna as his guru. Okay? Lord Krishna himself accepted a guru. So just few days ago I was in Ujjain. Ujjain is the place where Lord Krishna's Gurukul happened. Lord Krishna had his guru Sandipani Muni, from whom Lord Krishna learned everything. So Lord Krishna had a guru, Lord Ram had a guru, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had a guru, Ishwarapuri. Tomorrow is Ishwarapuri's appearance, disappearance day. So all these great personalities, through their own example, Hanumanji, such a great personality, he had a guru, he accepted Surya as his guru. So this is an important principle to accept the guru. When we accept someone who is superior to us and humble ourselves, come to a lower position and tell them that I don't know, then only real knowledge comes. Right? See, the problem with especially the people of India, when you tell people, please come to the Gita class, they will tell you, I already know. I already know everything. This is the biggest issue. Education starts when you first accept that you don't know. I don't know. So Arjuna is very blunt and honest about himself. So this is the first section where Arjuna is completely speaking about his understanding that I really don't know, and he's now surrendering to Krishna. So something very interesting. So you'll find the first words that Lord Krishna speaks verse number 11. After Arjuna surrenders to Krishna, it explains that Krishna is smiling. If you see text 10, it says, Tam vacha rishikesha prahasaniva bharata senayor upayor madhir visityantam idam vachaha. So Arjuna is crying, literally he is depressed, crying, he's completely low, and Krishna is smiling. Because Krishna knows the solution. And in text 11, what does Krishna tell Arjuna? Shri Bhagavan vacha asochan anvasocastvam pragyavadam cha vasase gatasun agatasun cha nanu shochanti pandita. So as soon as Arjuna surrenders to Krishna, the first thing Krishna does is Krishna is chastising Arjuna. Krishna is telling Arjuna, you think you are a big pandit, you spoke so many things in the first chapter, but Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, you are a fool according to me. And Arjuna is accepting it. When we go to a guru, we have to be ready to be corrected. The problem is we want a guru who will follow what we say, who will do what we want, right? So that means you don't need a guru. A guru means you are ready to correct yourself and follow what the guru says. So Krishna is chastising Arjuna, and Arjuna is not telling Krishna, why are you calling me a fool? Arjuna is ready to accept this point. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, you are a fool. Why you are a fool? Because Krishna is telling Arjuna, you are lamenting for which you should not be lamenting. And then this whole section from 11 to 30, verses number 11 to 30, Lord Krishna speaks about the topic of Atma, which is very central to Bhagavad Gita, which is very fundamental to spirituality. So this is Krishna speaking, just beginning. And what is Krishna speaking about? We are not the body, we are spirit soul. If you have heard any lecture of Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, this one thing will always be there. Prabhupada will always speak about this point that we are not the body, we are spirit soul. This is something that's very, very important to understand. So this whole section, Lord Krishna speaks about the knowledge of the Atma. So this is the only place in the Gita where Krishna speaks in detail the qualities of the Atma, what is the difference between what is eternal, what is temporary, understanding this whole thing. Just today evening, just before this session, I had an online session, we were discussing one particular song of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions in this song, we have to realize what is permanent in this world. So what is the central message behind understanding the topic of Atma and matter, spirit and matter? We have to understand spirit is permanent, matter is temporary. So we have to invest more and more time in the permanent things in this world. The spirit, in connection with Krishna or Bhakti or Harinam, this is what we should be investing time in. Because if you invest time in temporary things, everything is going to go. Your money is going to go, your family is going to go, your body is going to go. So why are we wasting so much time in investing in temporary things, which are anyway going to go? So if we are intelligent, we will invest in permanent things. Srila Prabhupada, when he was in MIT, I don't know whether I told you, I think I told you this last class. When Prabhupada went to MIT, America, this massive university, Prabhupada was shown all the departments. So Prabhupada was not very impressed. Prabhupada said, where is the department that tells me the difference between a dead man and an alive man? See, we see deaths everywhere. Every now and then we see deaths. But it doesn't strike us. This person was alive. Now he is dead. What is missing? The brain is there, the heart is there, the kidneys are there, everything is there, nothing is escaped from his body. What is missing? The Atma is gone. We are not able to realize this. So Sankhya Yoga, this particular chapter, Sankhya means numbers. Understanding the difference between matter and spirit. What is matter? What is spirit? We have to understand this difference and mold our life in such a way that the focus is the spirit. Atma is the focus. So Lord Krishna speaks many qualities and many aspects of the Atma. Text 13, Lord Krishna says, Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaran yovanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhidas tatra namuyati. So these are very important verses. Even if you can learn these verses, it's wonderful. So Lord Krishna says, just like in our own life, our bodies have been changing, right? The childhood body is no longer there. A young body, an old body, adult body, old body. Bodies are changing continuously. You see any child, we don't realize it. But you see a child, you'll immediately realize. Some time ago he was so small, now in 2 years he becomes so big. So our bodies are continuously changing. So Lord Krishna says, death means another change of body. In this life only we are changing bodies, death means another change. And then Lord Krishna explains the various qualities of the soul. Nainam chindanti shastrani. Which verse this is? Please check which verse this is. Nainam chindanti shastrani. Text 23. I'm just touching some of the verses, but every verse is important. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavaka, na chainam kledyanti apo, na shoshayati maruta. So the soul cannot be cut by any weapon, cannot be burned by fire, cannot be moistened by water, and cannot be withered or dried by the wind. That means none of the material things can touch the soul. Socrates, you have heard of Socrates? See, many of these philosophers in the West who actually became very intelligent were because they read the Gita. Einstein and all these people, they have read Gita. Newton and all these people. So Socrates was so convinced about this knowledge of the Atma when he was given hemlock poison to drink. When he was forcibly given this poison, Socrates, he said, you can't even see me, how can you kill me? So the poison can kill the body but not the soul. The soul is on an eternal journey. This is another verse that is there in this particular chapter. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkada agama apaino nityas tantitikshasya bharata. Each of these verses we can speak hours and hours, but we are just touching upon some of the verses. So Lord Krishna, by understanding the quality of Atma, what you can get, you will get the ability to tolerate. You will understand that everything in this world keeps changing. There is nothing that's permanent. You don't have to take anything seriously in this world. Your happiness that you take seriously is gone tomorrow. The sadness that you are taking seriously today is gone tomorrow. Nothing is permanent in this world. In our childhood, in 5th standard, 6th standard, some standard, we might have got first prize in something. Isn't it? You remember those days? Some medal somewhere. And that was such a moment for us, going on the stage, the principal giving you that prize. But now, does that event have any value? No value. In our childhood, someone might have hurt us very badly, spoken bad things. That time we were so disturbed. But now, does it have any value? It has no value. Similarly, what we go through now, good, bad, 10 years down the line, it will be insignificant. Now we are taking things so seriously, we are so bogged down by things. 10 years down the line, it really doesn't matter. Life just goes on and on. So we have to understand, when you understand this topic of Atma, you'll understand that Sukh, Dukh, all these things keep happening. We have to focus on something that is more eternal. So in this way, Lord Krishna speaks about various qualities. If you read this section, this can be a homework for all of y'all, you will see unlimited adjectives that Lord Krishna gives to the soul. So Lord Krishna says, I'll just give you an example. In text 18, Lord Krishna says, not text 18. Yeah, see text 24. Lord Krishna says, Achedyoyam adhayoyam akletyo shosha evacha nitya sarvagatastanur achaloyam sanatana. Lord Krishna says, the soul is unbreakable, insoluble, cannot be burned, cannot be dried, present everywhere, unchangeable, eternally the same. So in this way, Lord Krishna is giving various qualities of the soul. So like this, there's one more verse, Vachamsi jirnani yata vihaya. So this is text 22. Vachamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani grinati naroparani tata sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyani navani devi. Understanding Krishna consciousness is common sense, logic. Right? If you're logical, you'll understand what life is. Today I was just, standing outside for Gopal's program. House was already full. So there was one man who came and told me, Gopal doesn't speak anything about religion. He speaks logic. I was saying absolutely correct. Spirituality matlab logic. Upar hai, so you'll understand spirituality. So Lord Krishna explains here what is death. Simple understanding. When our clothes get old, what we do? We throw those clothes and wear a new cloth, wear a new dress. Don't you do that? When your cloth becomes old, do you cry, "Arey, purana ho gaya, purana ho gaya"? You actually become a little happy. है कि नहीं? नया मिलेगा. है कि नहीं? Every time like I go to Vrindavan, my chappal is lost, I feel good. I'll get a new slipper. Simple. है कि नहीं? So when a dress becomes old, what do? Buy a new dress. How much you lament about that old dress? Arey, chala gaya. Gone. You get a new dress. Similarly, Lord Krishna says, when the body becomes old, don't worry. The next body will come. You'll get a young body again. Right? Those who are young now will become old. And those who are old, if they don't practice Krishna consciousness, they'll become young again. You'll have to take rebirths again and again. So you don't have to lament so much. This is what Lord Krishna explains here. So a lot of beautiful set of verses. So now the third section. So till 30, I'm not getting into all the verses, but all the verses are very, very beautiful. Till text 30. So till now we saw two sections. What is the first section? Guru, importance of surrendering to a guru. Why we need a guru. Second section is identity, topic of the Atma, 11 to 30. Various qualities of Atma, difference between material, spiritual, right? All these things. What is death and everything, Krishna explains. Now 31 till 53. Yeah, 31 till 53, correct, is the third section, which speaks about two dharmas. Yeah, till 53. Two dharmas. What does dharma mean? Dharma in one sense means duty. So we all have two duties. One is called Swadharma and the other is called Sanatan Dharma. So what does Swadharma mean? Swadharma means duty of our body. We all have a certain body. Body means, it also means the mind. We have a certain psychophysical nature. Right? We are born in a certain family, we have a certain responsibility, bodily responsibility. Doing that is also very, very important. Spiritual life means balancing. जैसे गाड़ी होता है, 4-wheeler में 4 wheels है. Can you run the 4-wheeler on 2 wheels? If 2 wheels are punctured, will it run? It will not run. You need all 4 wheels balanced. Similarly, spirituality is not about neglecting your material duties. You have to do that also, but keeping spiritual duties as the primary focus. You have to balance it out. Rather, Arjuna wanted to give up Swadharma. He said, let me just give this up and practice spirituality. But Krishna says, no, you are a Kshatriya, please do your duty. So Arjuna was a Kshatriya, his duty was to fight. He wanted to escape, but Lord Krishna says, you have to do it. So similarly, in all our lives, we have certain responsibilities. Whatever responsibilities we have to perform it, keeping God in the center. So this section, the first, so basically verse number 31 till 53 is two dharmas. In this section, verse number 31 and the first few verses till 38 speaks about the first kind of dharma called Swadharma. See, basically in the second chapter, at the first chapter end we saw Arjuna gave up his bow. You'll remember that? How the first chapter ended is Arjuna just gave up his bow, Visrija Sharam Chapam, Shokasam Vignamanasa. He became very disappointed, gave up his bow and declared, I shall not fight. Lord Krishna, through all these messages, basically is inspiring Arjuna to fight, to do his duty. previous section of the Atma, Lord Krishna speaks about the Atma and then tells Arjuna fight. Because one of the main reasons Arjuna didn't want to fight was Bhishma, Drona, what will happen if they die and all that. So Lord Krishna tells that anyway the Atma is eternal. The body is anyway going to die. If you don't fight now, tomorrow or the after they will anyway die. So better you just continue your duty. So in this way Krishna is inspiring Arjuna to fight. Now in this section, 31 to 38, Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, see, you are a Kshatriya, your duty is to fight. One of the reasons, we saw 5 reasons Arjuna gave not to fight. One of the reasons was, he will incur sinful reaction, isn't it? Arjuna said, if I kill all these people, I will get sin. Lord Krishna says, no, if you don't fight, you will get sin. So Krishna's understanding was completely different. But Krishna told Arjuna, no, for you it is best to fight. If you don't fight, you will get sin. And second thing Lord Krishna tells him, you are a Kshatriya, you may go away from the battlefield and you may say that I am compassionate, this, that, I don't want to fight. But people will think that you are a coward. People will all criticize you and you will not be able to tolerate. See, difference between a Kshatriya and a Brahmana. A Kshatriya can tolerate physical insult. You hit him, you shoot arrows at him, he has power to tolerate. Mental insult, if someone abuses him, he just can't handle it. Brahmanas are the opposite. Brahmanas, physical hurt they can't tolerate. You shoot one arrow, Kshatriya, Bhishma, we had so many arrows, he still survived. Brahmana, even one arrow little touches him, he will just die. Brahmanas physically they are not strong, but mentally, if anyone abuses them, speaks ill words, they can tolerate. So Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, you want to run away from the war, thinking that you are a great Brahmana, practice spirituality, but you go to the forest, someone there will criticize you. See this guy, coward guy, he's come here. And Arjuna, Lord Krishna is telling, there you will fight with those people. Instead of fighting with them, better you fight here. Because anyway your nature is to fight, you will anyway fight. You getting the point? So through this, Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, you please fight. And Lord Krishna is telling him, for you, even if you die on the battlefield, it is good. For a Kshatriya who dies on the battlefield, he is very, very glorified. He gets the heavenly planet. There's actually a story. One time, one of the Rajput kings, Rajputs are like warrior clan. So one of the Rajput king went for a war. And the war, became so difficult for him, he was about to die. He came back running from the war. He just left the war and came back. He knocked the door. His wife, the queen, didn't open the door. She asked, who is it? This person said, I am so and so, I am the king, I am your husband. This lady said, you cannot be my husband. My husband will come with the entire army after winning, or he will die in the battlefield. My husband will never come like this running away. The queen didn't open the door only. You go and fight, you die there, no problem, but don't come back like this. And this fellow actually went there and fought and came. So this is the understanding. For a Kshatriya, to die in the battlefield is glorious. But to escape, run away from there is actually a big discredit. So in this way, Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, your duty is a Kshatriya. You please do your duty. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing a South Indian tour, Mahaprabhu comes to a place called Kurmagram. And there was one Grihastha. He told Mahaprabhu, I just fed up of family life, I just want to join you. I just want to give up everything. Mahaprabhu told him, no, you are a Grihastha, you have taken responsibility of family life, please continue on this. Don't leave it like this. But as you stay there, practice your second dharma, which is called Sanatan Dharma. So we have to marry both. While practicing our regular duties, the housewife may have a different duty, the men may have a different duty, students may have a different duty. As we do this Aswadharma, we have to run the Sanatan Dharma parallelly. Just like a train runs on one track or two tracks? Two tracks, no? If it runs on one track, it will be an accident. So the train has to run on two tracks. Similarly, we have to do our God-given responsibilities in this world. We have to fulfill it. Along with that, the Sanatan Dharma, that eternal duty, it has to continue. For a Kshatriya, his duty may be different. A Brahmana may have a different duty. A lady may have a different duty. A man may have a different duty bodily. But on the platform of Atma, we all have one duty. And what is that one duty? That is to worship Krishna. So Sanatan Dharma means, so we saw in the previous section, Atma is eternal, Sanatan. Okay? Atma is eternal. That Dharma which is eternal, which connects us to that eternal spiritual world, that is called Sanatan Dharma. The other dharmas are temporary dharmas. When we are small, we had a different dharma as a student. When you go to a job, you have a different dharma. When you are retired, you have a different dharma. Bodily dharmas may change according to time and situation. But the dharma of the Atma doesn't change. So this whole section from 39 till 53, Lord Krishna speaks some very, very important verses which speak about the concept of bhakti. So the second chapter, in one sense, has a mix of everything. It has a mix of Jnana, Karma, Bhakti, everything. 11 to 30 speaks about Jnana, Sankhya Yoga. This section, 31 to 38 speaks about Karma, right? Nishkam Karma, Sakam Karma. And then 39 to 53 speaks about Buddhi Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. Lot of very, very important verses. We will just touch some of the verses. Text 40. Neha Vikrama Nashosti Pratyavayo na Vidyate Shwalpamapyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. Okay, before we go into that, the previous section, when Krishna is speaking about Swadharma, this is another very important verse, text 38. Sukha dukkhe same kritva labha labha jaya jayo tato yuddhaya yujjasva daivam papam avapsyasi. So Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, you fight, your duty is to fight. Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, if you don't fight, you will get sin. If you fight and you die, you will get heaven and all this. And then finally he says, do your duty for the sake of doing it. Fight for the sake of fighting. Don't consider happiness, distress, victory, defeat, gain, loss. Don't consider all this. This is how you should fight. See, Arjuna, the reason he couldn't fight was, Arjuna was thinking, loss, gain, my happiness, my distress. Krishna is saying, don't think in this direction. Every time you make a decision, how do you make a decision? Will I be happy? Will I gain something? Will I be victorious? Lord Krishna is saying, don't think about this. Do your duty. That's it. Don't worry too much about the result. You focus on the process. That's something that is very important. So now in this section, 39 to 53, Lord Krishna speaks about various things. This verse which we discussed, Neha Vikrama Nashosti Pratyavayo na Vidyate. Lord Krishna says, in the path of bhakti, there is no loss. The path of bhakti, whatever you do, even if you don't complete it, in the next life you can continue. In this material world, even if you are a PhD, Hare Krishna, the board fell apart. No problem. You can just keep it down. We'll see it later. So, in the path of bhakti, if you do little bhakti and you don't complete it, the next life you can actually continue it. But in this world, even if you are a PhD, next life you are born again, that last life PhD is not useful. You have to start again from ABCD. That means material education is not useful. Spiritual education will actually continue with us life after life. And in this way, Krishna speaks about various topics in this section. This is text 44. Bhogeshwarya prasaktanam taya parata chetasam vyavasatmika buddhi samadona vidiyate. Lord Krishna is saying here, if we are too much focused on enjoyment, my desires, my enjoyment, we will not be determined in life. Determination, to achieve anything in life, you have to be very determined. And how will that determination come? when you have a very big selfless goal. In this world, all our goals are very, very selfish. That's why we are not determined. Especially in the path of bhakti. Why there is no determination? Because our mind is diverted into so many places. We decide, I'll practice spiritual life. As soon as we step out of the class, there are so many distractions that come and we are lost. So therefore, having that focus is very, very important. Right? Krishna is explaining that this kind of focus, Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kuru nandana. Where is that verse? Vyavasayatmika buddhi? Text 41. It's a very, very important verse. Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kuru nandana bahushakai anantascha buddhayo vyavasayina. So to attain success in spiritual life, one has to be very, very focused. If you're not focused, you are distracted in so many places, you will not achieve anything in life. So in this way, Lord Krishna is speaking about the principle of being focused and not being distracted by so many things. And then text 47, Lord Krishna is speaking about responsible detachment. It's a difficult concept to digest. Many times, when we become responsible, when you are responsible, when you take responsibility of doing a particular activity, you become attached to it. Okay? And when you are detached, you become irresponsible. Okay? Not bothered because it's not my duty. You are detached from it and you are irresponsible. So Lord Krishna is speaking about responsibility but in a detached spirit. Parents, this is the issue. You take responsibility for your children, but too attached. Too attached. The child doesn't follow you to some extent, you become so frustrated. So in every aspect of life, if we want to become cool-headed, we have to be responsible but detached. Anything in life, any work that you do, result is not in your hand. You do that work nicely and then be detached. That's it. That is the principle. So this is a very famous verse. Karmani eva darikaste. Karmani eva darikaraste. Ma faleshu kadachana. Ma karma falo heturbur. Mate sangostva karmani. Lord Krishna says you have a right to perform your duty, but you're not entitled for your fruit of action. So basically the principle is follow the process. Gopal was mentioning the same point. Just follow the process. We are so focused on the result. We want to become successful, that's fine. But if you keep focusing on that, your process will get paralyzed. Do what you're doing in the best way, result will automatically come. It will just come on its own. So this is called responsible detachment. So then Krishna speaks about this principle of the symptoms of a self-realized soul. So you can go through this section whenever you have time. So Atma Ram, so basically we are now coming to the last part, which is 54 onwards, 55 onwards, sorry, from 54. So basically till 53, Arjuna spoke, Lord Krishna spoke about these two kinds of dharmas, dharma of the body and dharma of the Atma. Dharma of the Atma is bhakti to Krishna, which is the most important duty that we all have to do. We have to arrange our life in such a way that the primary focus is bhakti to Krishna. Now in text 54, Arjuna is asking a question to Lord Krishna. How will you identify someone who is self-realized? Right? Like someone who's very, very rich, you can identify him by the car he moves in, by the kind of dress he wears. So how will you find out who is a self-realized soul? Or in other words, if someone has to become self-realized, if someone has to achieve that state of realization, of being completely satisfied in the self, what are the various symptoms that he needs to have? So this is Arjuna's question. And from 55 on till 72, Lord Krishna is explaining the various symptoms of a self-realized soul. The first principle Lord Krishna explains is, he finds satisfaction in the self alone. In this world, we find satisfaction in the things of this world. And because we find satisfaction in the things of this world, our satisfaction is dependent on something or some people. When that people and that person is not there, that thing is not there, we automatically become dissatisfied again. So when we find satisfaction on the level of the Atma, that is an eternal kind of satisfaction. Such a person is not disturbed in any situation. He is freed from attachment, fear, and anger, unaffected by good and evil, and he knows the art of disengaging. Lord Krishna in this section gives an example of a tortoise. A tortoise, kurma, when a tortoise sees danger, the tortoise just pulls its limbs inside. So similarly, the art of engaging and the art of disengaging. When the right time comes, you just pull yourself out of that situation. The problem with all of us is, when we are in a wrong situation, we are not able to pull out and we just succumb. So in a given wrong situation, to pull yourself out is the best principle. Right? If you go in a wrong environment and then try to test yourself, you will become defeated. The best principle is don't get into a wrong environment at all. This is what Krishna is explaining here. So these are the various principles that Lord Krishna speaks here. Text 59, which is another very important verse. Lord Krishna says, Vishya vinivartante niraharasya dehina raso varjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. See, we all want enjoyment in this world. Okay? Anandamayo Vyasa. We are all looking for enjoyment. But where is real enjoyment? What Krishna is explaining here, when we experience some higher kind of enjoyment in spirituality, automatically we will be able to give up lower tastes. One is wrong temptations, to say no to it. That definitely we have to do. But saying that no becomes easier when we experience higher taste. So therefore, in the path of bhakti, when we practice spiritual life, we have to do it in such a nice way, putting our heart into it, so that we can get those glimpses of those tastes. While we chant japa, while we participate in kirtan, while we read Srila Prabhupada books, if we find higher taste in these things, automatically the lower taste will go away. Okay? Simple. If you are used to eating dry chapatis every day, sukha sabji, if you are given best top class chappan bhog, you don't have to tell that person give that up. He will automatically give up. So the understanding is detachment begins when we develop positive attachment to Krishna. So when we have that positive attachment, when we focus on things that are more blissful in spiritual life, automatically we are able to deal with distractions. Just like in Chaitanya Charitamrita, you have the example of Namacharya Haridas Thakur. When Haridas Thakur was doing his japa in Benapol, there was one lady who came to allure Haridas. But because Haridas was experiencing that higher taste, he could say no. So Lord Krishna is basically inspiring all of us that we all need to experience that higher taste. If you don't do it, the senses are so troublesome. In the next verse, Lord Krishna says, if you are not very strong in spiritual life, if you don't experience those higher tastes, the senses can drag us away. Just like a boat is taken away by the wind, the senses can take us away. So the senses need engagement, and we have to be engaged in Krishna conscious activities. And then this is a very famous section, verse number 62 and 63. Krishna explains the cost of succumbing to distractions. Previously we saw Krishna is explaining the principle of focus, being focused in spiritual life, developing higher taste. If you don't do it, what will happen? This is what will happen. So in the Gita, Krishna explains both ways. If you practice spiritual life, what you will get? If you don't practice spiritual life, you get into material activities, what will be the result? So this verse number 62 and 63 speaks about a sequence of how a person gets entangled in this world. Dhyayato vishayan pumsan sangaste supajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodho vijayate krodha bhavati sammoha sammoha smriti vibrama smriti bhramshat buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati. So Lord Krishna says, the way we get entangled in this world, it all starts with dhyan. Dhyayato vishayan punsan. contemplation. Every action begins with a thought. Thought leads to words, words leads to actions, and repeated actions leads to habit, and those habits become our destiny. Ultimately, it all starts with a thought. So because we keep thinking about material things, we keep doing material things, keep doing the wrong things. So we have to replace those thoughts with Krishna conscious thoughts. Idle mind is devil's workshop. If the mind is idle, if it doesn't have any positive Krishna conscious activities, it will keep thinking about the wrong things. Because the mind will go this way or that way. We have to learn to channelize the mind in the wrong way. So when we keep thinking about something, like you see, you go on the road and you see a mobile, your eyes have seen it, right? Once you have seen it, some thought comes. You go home and you do dhyana. See, there is a difference between a thought and meditation, contemplation. Thought आके चला जाता है. Thought, in a day, how many thoughts we have? Unlimited. You can't even count. Contemplation means you focus on one thought and keep thinking about it. That one mobile that you saw on the billboard, you go home and keep thinking about that mobile. That becomes your dhyana. Dhyayato vishayan pumsa. When you think about it, what happens? You become attached to it. You want it. Right? Your heart gets connected to it. Emotions get involved. And then from attachment comes lust. Lust basically means the desire to enjoy. You want to get it some way or the other. Hook or crook, you want to get it. Right? And when the lust is not fulfilled, what it leads to? Anger. Sanga sanjayate kama, kama krodho bijayate. When the lust is fulfilled, you become greedy for more. When the lust is not fulfilled, you become angry. Anger, in Sanskrit, another name for anger is Kama Anuj. Anuj means younger brother. Anger is considered to be the younger brother of desire. When desire is not fulfilled, anger, frustration comes in. And when you get angry, what happens? Krodha bhavati sammoha. When you're angry, you become delusioned. Sammoha smriti vibhrama. This is not money, but it should be bewilderment of memory. There's a text mistake there. Your memory is bewildered. You don't know what is right, what is wrong. You're not able to understand it. And when the memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and such a person actually falls down. You see Ramayana, Ravana's fall down. We all know that Ravan was killed by Lord Ram. In a very pathetic way he died. Ravana's fall down began with contemplation. Surpanaka saw Sita in Nasik, Panchavati. She went and told Ravan the beauty of Sita. Ravan didn't even see Sita. In those days there was no photograph and all that. He started to think, dhyan about Sita. The more he thought, the more he became attached. Lust developed. He did hook or crook, got Sita, and ultimately met with his destruction. So the whole fall down started with that contemplation. So if we can deal with the mind on that level, we are saved from a lot of problems. And then Lord Krishna explains a lot of very important verses. Practically every verse is very, very important. But we are just focusing on some. Text 70. Apuryamanam achala pratishnam samudramapa pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sashantim apnoti na kama kami. So Lord Krishna is giving an example. Just like rivers flow in an ocean. So many rivers flow into an ocean. But does the ocean cross the boundaries? It never crosses boundaries. Even during rains, when unlimited water enters the ocean is still same. It's not that Miramar beach has entered into Panjim city. It never happens like that. Never happens. Right? So the ocean is steady. Why is the ocean steady? Because the ocean is very deep. How much ever water comes in the river, through the river, the ocean is too deep. It can accommodate, not disturb. Understanding the point? Similarly, Lord Krishna says, desires you can't stop. Thoughts will keep coming. Desires will keep coming. You go on the street, you see this thing, that thing. You go on a mall, you see 100 items. All those desires will keep coming. But we have to become deep, like the ocean. If you become deep like the ocean, those desires will come. We will not be affected. We will be peaceful. But if you are not deep, you have like a small puddle. Any little extra water desires come, we are full, overfloods. Then we become completely, we lose a sense of peace and satisfaction. So having this peace is very important. There are advertisements outside and there are advertisements inside. The mind also keeps advertising so many things, so many material things. You buy into any of those advertisements, a lot of money will go, a lot of energy will go, a lot of time will go, and you'll miss what is important. So having that kind of focus, that kind of depth is very, very important. So satsangs basically, see, we have to honestly admit that we are not deep. We are very shallow in life. But when we come to satsangs, when we read books, we become deeper. Narad Muni, he explains his story to Vyasdev. In his previous life, Narada was a small boy, 5 years old. His mother passed away, the only mother. Father was not there, mother passed away. But because he had depth in spiritual life, he came in touch with satsang, he could handle that calamity. Difficulties, provocations, all these things are definitely going to come in everyone's life. But satsang, swadhyay, the naam jap makes our heart deep. And then we are able to handle. Text 71 is also a very important verse. Vihaya kamam yaha sarvam pumam charati nishpraha nirmamo nirahankara sa shantim adhigacchati. Lord Krishna says, if you want peace, this is the second verse. 70 also spoke about peace. 71 also Lord Krishna speaks about peace. If you give up desires, vihaya kamam yaha sarvam. If you give up desires, pumam charati nishpraha nirmamo nirahankara. If you give up desires, if you give up ego, and if you give up the sense of proprietorship, you can have peace in life. What stops us from being peaceful is the unlimited desires we have. We become slave of desires and we are not peaceful. See, anytime you feel you want more and more, that means you are not peaceful. A peaceful person is satisfied with what he has. When you have ego, there is no peace. And when you feel that this is mine, that is mine, you want to protect everything, control everything, you lose your sense of peace. So we need to understand that my purpose of life is to satisfy Krishna's desire. Krishna is the proprietor and my sense of ego is I am only a servant of Krishna. Then you are peaceful, completely peaceful. Who is in stress? The master is in stress. Servant is peaceful. COVID time, money is there or not there, servant is going to get salary. The master has to worry how to run the business. So if you're a master, there is a lot of stress. But if you're in the mood of a servant, you can actually be very, very peaceful and satisfied. And in the last verse, Lord Krishna says, if you live life like this, then we can eventually enter into the kingdom of God. Esha brahmani sthita partha nainam prapya vimuyati stitva svam antakalepi brahma nirvana vrichyati. So life is very, very short. If you can live life following this set of verses, keeping that kind of focus, being really detached, being more attached to the path of Krishna consciousness, life will pass away. And then at the end of the life, you don't have to come back. You don't have to come take a body again. You can actually go back to the spiritual world. That's what Lord Krishna explains here. Anyone has any questions, any comments? Did you all understand? Yeah. So basically, to sum up, I'll just sum it up quickly. The acronym for chapter 2 is Gita, Gita. The first section, 1 to 10, speaks about the importance of surrendering to a guru. How Arjuna, even though he's very powerful, he took a humble stand and surrendered to Krishna. So similarly, in all our lives, we will not be able to surrender to Krishna directly, but we have Krishna's devotees with us. We can take shelter of the devotees of Krishna. That's the first principle. Second section, I, verse number 11 to 30, Krishna spoke about Atma, identity, who are we, what are the various qualities of the soul, difference between body and matter, what is death, and all that. Then 31 to 38 is 31 to 53 is the third section totally, two dharmas. Of that, 31 to 38 speaks about the first dharma, which is swadharma, the duty that we have, God ordained duty, the bodily duty that we have, whatever we may be, whatever profession we have to do that nicely. We have to be responsible in that way. And along with that, we have to practice the Sanatan Dharma, which Krishna speaks from verse number 39 till 53. Right? How that Sanatan Dharma is eternal, and how to practice Sanatan Dharma by having that kind of focus in Krishna consciousness, by not being bewildered by so many things. If you practice Sanatan Dharma, then the life is perfect. So this is the third section, 31 till 53. And the last section, 54 to 72, Arjuna is asking Krishna, what are the qualities of a liberated person? Or what it means is, if you want to be liberated, what qualities you have to develop? And then Krishna is listing so many qualities. One has to be detached from this material world. One has to, even if desires come, one has to understand that these desires will come and go. You have to focus on something that's more deeper. So these are the various things that Krishna speaks about, how we have to develop a higher taste and all these things. So if we follow these principles, then at the end, as Krishna says, we can actually go back to the spiritual world. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So the next week we will do the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So please go back home.